Welcome to the Tax Awareness Show. My name is Ulusanda, and I'm going to be asking a few questions, kumnyeni wam, tax-related questions. So, are you ready, baby?
What's up?
So, I saw a video of police and some locksmiths. They were outside Mamkhize's house, and I was confused. Ungakwazi ungixelela bakwenza kantoni phayana?
Are you talking about the trending video where Mamkhize? Are you talking about the recent video where I saw Mamkhize SARS police at Mamkhize's house?
Yes.
Okay. So I think from what I read, I think SARS issued the media statement, and I think they were discussing that because I also saw that video trending actually, where then I immediately saw a post on SARS official account actually on X.
Oh, okay.
Then I went into it because I think that to me it's a source that one can a little bit trust what is happening. So then when I read that statement and it actually detailing what is actually happening, from that statement, the media release by SARS is actually stating that SARS applied for what you call preservation order.
Preservation order in the
Yes. So what happens is that in terms of the law, Tax Administration Act, it's actually what we call section 163. Okay. So what happens in that is that SARS official can actually apply to the High Court, which is what they did in KZN. They went to a local High Court in KZN and they applied for preservation order and search and seizure warrant. So what is that? What is this preservation order that they have applied? So basically, as I mentioned, that section 163, it actually allows SARS official to apply to a High Court in cases where they are of the view that they need to preserve what we call realizable assets, such as the cars you probably saw in that trending video where SARS was taking the expensive cars. We saw that, and the intention of that is for SARS to actually preserve those assets. And the reason behind that is that it's if the SARS official is of the view that those assets can actually, there's a potential that those assets can actually be disposed of, and then if they're going to be disposed, that could potentially affect or rather frustrate SARS to actually do a collection of the tax that is due or that is potentially going to be due. So that is basically the principle behind the preservation order. But what I found from the media release, it's actually also indicating that there could be some form of them actually searching for further evidence that they can actually use against in their what you call the case that they have against Mamkhize. So that is basically a high level of what is happening.
All right, babe. So angithi ubukhe wathetha ngento ye preservation, ane, that they took the cars for preservation.
Correct.
Ane. So does that mean that she might get the cars back, or how does it work?
Look, there are possibilities that she can she may get them back, or she may not get them back. So those possibilities exist. But typically what happens is that obviously it's an order. It's an order by High Court. So she has legal grounds also, or legal right rather, that she can appeal that particular order. And it's very important to understand that when such order exists, it remains in force, which means it exists, it remains in force unless Mamkhize goes and appeal against such preservation order and the court actually set it aside. That's typically what will happen. or if it gets to the point where SARS is of the view that those assets actually are no longer necessary to settle any tax debts that are due to it, then that preservation order will then come to an end. Because sometimes it could be that there's a negotiations that goes behind, and there's a settlement that gets reached, and there's a payment that gets to be made towards that tax debts rather, if is any that exist in that case. And then in that case, then it may mean that those assets then may have to be returned, because someone may settle tax debt through other means other than actually selling or allowing SARS to dispose those assets that have been seized under the preservation order. So that is typically what could happen. And I think we've seen scenarios where some people, their assets get actually being taken in and then later on returned, because it could be that SARS exercise and say, listen, based on this whatever settlement agreement, whatever the final overall agreement, because at the end of the day, SARS wants to collect its own tax debts. That's basically it.
Okay, babe. So ebeyazi kuMamkhize ba kuzoziwe endlini yakhe kuzonqonqozwa.
Look, if the law is followed, she would have known, mainly because the Tax Administration Act is actually states that that particular preservation order that they would have got from the High Court needs to provide for a notice to be given to a taxpayer. And the taxpayer here could, because I saw in one of the readings that there's a trust involved and companies involved. So I'm not sure in this case who the taxpayer could be. If, let's say, taxpayer in this case, like Mamkhize, it's her trust or her companies, then that would be a tax. Then meaning that those entities needs to have been given a notice over and above a person that is affected by this preservation order or a seized assets, which in this case will be Mamkhize. So the law states that that preservation order must provide a notice. So if the law was followed, then Mamkhize would have definitely have known that there's going to be what you call search and seizure moment. She would have known.
What if she decided to take the cars as a because she was like as a celebrity? What was going to happen in that case?
Look, I mean, in a moment of panic or in a moment of conniving or doing silly things, some people may attempt to dispose their assets and trying to make sure that their assets actually are not being attached or taken under the preservation order. But the downside of that is that the law actually deals with such circumstances. Let's say hypothetically, Mamkhize would have given those expensive cars or fancy things to have friends, as you mentioned, celebrity friends. I'm using a hypothetical. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying had she did that, what would have happened? So the law basically says that, and that's in the Tax Administration Act. It says any person, basically, if a person knowingly participated in the dissipation of assets, what does that mean? So if you knew and you participated in the dissipation of assets of a taxpayer in order to frustrate SARS from collecting the tax that is due to them by that particular taxpayer, you will personally and jointly and severally liable for the tax debt of that taxpayer, which means that remember, we are not saying she did that, and I think we need to be clear. On that.
Yes.
And we're not saying she did that. What I'm saying is that if we are painting a scenario that had she did that, so those friends of hers and celebrities that would have participated in that process, that never took place, then they were going, by law, they were definitely going to be jointly and severally liable for the tax debt of those taxpayers. Taxpayers, it could be the trust, could be the company, or it could be Mamkhize in question. So that's why. So it's a silly thing that a person can actually do. Don't do that. That could definitely even end up getting you into a criminal situation. So but yeah, so obviously by us seeing that, I mean, we don't know we don't have the facts of what's happening with her in this case, but that is typical. So it's provided in the law. So you know why I'm saying that also is that it happens actually in some cases where someone, I mean, forgiving friends, someone could be knowing that her or his company has potentially owing SARS a lot of money, and you are sitting with a lot of properties in that company, and then they end up stripping that particular company of its assets, and so that it makes it difficult for SARS to recover the tax debt within that particular company. So in those cases, the very same person, be it a director of that company, will definitely, in terms of the law, be held jointly and severally liable for the tax debt of that particular company. And there's so many cases, and I think there was a case around that with the famous Christopher and his partners. There was a case going around together versus SARS around that. But I mean, we can talk about it some other time. But that's exactly that. So if it can be found that you actually knowingly participated in the dissipation of the assets of the taxpayer, you'll definitely find yourself on the wrong side of the law, and it won't be nice. Definitely don't be nice.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. My last question for you: Are you following the case?
Look, I actually really didn't follow it that much, but the way it's developing, it's actually of interest to me, and mainly because there's interesting sections of Tax Administration Act that is being applied by SARS here, and I actually am going to go back and study this case where it started, and follow it through, so that one is able to actually enjoy the Tax Administration Act. As you know, baby, that I'm a tax planning and tax dispute resolution specialist. So that is my area of interest of Tax Administration Act. So yeah, I'm definitely going to actually download the how they obtain the preservation order application. Nice. So I'm gonna read that just to sort of have an understanding what reasons they put forward for them to obtain the preservation order and search and seizure warrant. And I'll be actually closely monitoring when this case actually, which shape it takes. So yeah, I'll have a conversation with you. Of course, I'll keep you updated.
Okay, good babes. If you're gonna keep me updated, then I'm definitely going to tell the viewers of the Tax Awareness Show of the updates that you give to us. Also, would like to encourage the viewers of the show to ask questions or share any comments that they have on the matter in the comment section, and Shitty Boy will answer them. He's a tax specialist here, not me. Bye bye, baby. I will.
Bye bye.